Welcome back to the Bank Shot DJ podcast, episode 22, the final countdown. In this episode, we talk about the never-ending expansion talks, trying to get our Seattle SuperSonics back home. And then we continue the conversation talking about the New York Knicks, when we talk about the firing of their head coach, Tom Thibodeau, who's the next head coach, and if they're part of the equation in the sweepstakes for Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo, and what other teams are in the sweepstakes for Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo. We continue the story to the never-ending story of the finals. Indiana Pacers versus Oklahoma City Thunder. The Pacers take a 2-1 lead after Game 3. Here are our predictions. Here are what we think about the first three games. Episode 22. Tune in. Welcome. Hello. Welcome back to the Big Shot DJ podcast with your host, Denny the Shrine, and Litzo again with us here today. Denny, what is good?
What's going on, man? Thursday, June 12th, 12:15 p.m. We are into the NBA Finals, which is a exciting time, but also kind of a bittersweet time. So, wrapping up the NBA season, but this is the best basketball. These are the two best teams left, and so it's been a lot of fun, and we still got a lot of the game left in this series, and we're here to talk about all of it.
Yes, sir. Litzo, how we doing?
Yes, sirs.
No.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sirs. That's all I got to say. What the hell?
Oh my God! Yeah, we'll be talking about the NBA Finals today. Denny, what are we talking about today?
A little bit about NBA expansion. See what's going on there. I think last episode there was some games still going on in the Knicks Pacers series, so let's just kind of wrap up that. A lot of stuff going on with the Knicks right now, and then another big topic going on right now is with the boy Kevin Durant, where he's going to end up. What's going to happen in this offseason. Got to talk about those couple things before we dive into this series. Before that, you know what we got to do.
Absolutely. Litz, I'm not sure if you brought a shot with you today, even though we're doing virtual, but we got some shots. And we're going to continue having these shots. I know we missed a couple of these last few podcasts because we've just been away, but we gotta continue doing it. So a little shot for the Sonics today. We're going to talk about more about their expansion as well. Litzo's got his gone smoothie. Yeah. All right. Cheers, boys. All right. Going into the Sonics update, Mr. Silverman has been on the docket. We've talked about it a few times in the last couple episodes. We talked about how the Trailblazers are now up for sale due to Jody Allen. That was part of Powell Allen's trust. I don't think that's going to change too much just because I believe they are prioritizing the Blazers' new ownership to be within the Pacific Northwest and trying to keep them in Portland, which is huge, one, for us as we're PNW guys in general, but also for the fact that it's not going to take a lot for an expansion team necessarily. It's not going to stop that process of expansion. And Mr. Silverman was on the Dan Patrick show the other day talking about it as well. And he pretty much said that it is for sure talking about, it's on the list for the ownership meeting that's in Las Vegas this year in July that goes on during the Summer League time when that starts up. And he pretty much said it is going to be talked about no matter what. The biggest thing is they don't know what's going to happen, if it's going to happen yet, because they just signed a new bargaining agreement with all the media. And they don't know. The ownership has to make a decision because basically adding two more teams is going to split up that money of that new bargaining deal that they just did. But also, they kind of have to think about the future of whether or not adding two more expansion teams will be good for the future of the NBA. Obviously, we want our team. Obviously, we want the Sonics. This time, Mr. Silverman did not explicitly say Seattle and Vegas, but he said in the past that Seattle and Vegas are probably the top two expansion cities that happened. And also he kind of went in more depth about the process of expansion as well. And the biggest things are, one, expansion committee formed, and he didn't explicitly say it, but it kind of sounds like an expansion committee has already been formed and ready to talk for those July meetings. And then after that, you have the ownership groups announced, and then you have the application process begins, bids submitted, and then teams awarded. So we are right now talking about it. We have an expansion committee formed. It sounds like we're just getting inches closer, and the Sonics fans have never been more vocal as of lately with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the finals. They've been very vocal lately, and we need a team here. It's ridiculous why we don't. But that's just a little update there. You have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think in another interview he had or press conference or something, he was talking about worried about revenue or something like that with expanding. I think if you're able to bring a team to Seattle and Vegas, the revenue is going to skyrocket. Both those cities are, I mean, obviously Seattle, we've been dying for a team. We'd be ready to go. And I think with Vegas, with all the teams that they've gone recently and the up and coming in that city, the revenue would be flowing. So I think we just gotta get that committee going, which sounds like it's already going, and just keep getting through the steps and get through the process. And I pray every day. So just waiting for the glorious day that I can black out when the Sonics are announced.
Litzo?
Yeah, I mean, I think this would be great for the NBA. I mean, the NBA has not been doing amazing this past year. I think expansion will be a great way to kind of re-energize a lot of fans, And I just don't see how Seattle and Vegas would not be the two teams. Like I heard rumors about like Mexico City could be something. NBA could have their first team in Mexico, be the first like professional sports team in Mexico, which would be cool. But I don't see with how Vegas and all their revenue has been spiking up when the Raiders moved there and now the A's are moving there. It only makes sense that Vegas gets one. I think LeBron wants to be like a part in the group that Vegas is there, is what I heard. But also then, yeah, you have Seattle, you have a fan base that has been itching for a team ever since they left. And now you see their former team in the finals. It's just you get that itch back again, just as a fan being like, that should be us. That should be us. Now we just need one so we can just have that like itch resolved, and then being like, okay, that could have been in 10 years if Thunder are still good. It's like, okay, that could be us anyways, but now we have a team to put our own. So I really think, and I just think it'll be better for the NBA. There's so much talent coming in now. Like Reed Shepherd barely played, and he was a third overall pick. Like there's so much talent in the NBA that's not getting played regular minutes that if you expand, you just get more exposure for these young guys to show if they can hang around the league or not. So I think this would be great. I want it to happen so badly. With the Sonics need to come back. I'm very happy that this is kind of like the first. There's always been talks about the expansion, but it's actually kind of getting into place, which is great.
Yeah, and going off that, just the young talent, we even have one of the top 5 or 6 cities in the last 5 to 10 years of talent coming out of here from basketball. We have Paolo Banchero. We have guys like Jamie McDaniels, who was in the Western Conference Finals. There's plenty of guys that play basketball and come out of the PNW. And, as we are basketball fans, we have League Pass, and we're blacked out for the Trailblazers game, even though they're 4 or 5 hours away. Like, it's hard to be a Trailblazers fan when we're that far away up here. And we can even watch their games half the time. We just get the national stuff that we get. And so it's time for it to happen. There's nothing else. We're just itching so bad. The PNW will bring a shit ton of revenue to basketball in general. Like I said, we're a basketball city here. So that's it for Sonics updates. We'll continue to give you more. Not a beat goes by without us thinking about it. So we will be on the topics for a long time. So going into that, we're going to talk about the New York Knicks a little bit. Last time we recorded was right before Game 5 or Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So obviously the Knicks fight to bring it to 6, even though they still got eliminated by the Pacers. And then days after that, they fire their coach, Tom Thibodeau, after, the Knicks make it to their first ECF in forever. And so now the Knicks have been in talks of talking about poaching other different coaches that are in the league already, like Ime Doku, and Jason Kidd as well is on the conversation for that. Who's the next New York head coach? Is the Thibodeau firing warranted? I don't know. Litzo, what do you think on this?
I think they moved from Tibbs because they just want to change. I think they just made change to make change. I don't think it was really necessary. I mean, granted, I get that Tibbs runs his players down to the dirt. And so when you get this far into the playoffs, there's fatigue factor with it. But I don't think that Tibbs was really the main reason why the Knicks lost. The main reason why the Knicks didn't go to the finals, so they just don't have the roster for it. It's plain and simple. I think the fact that they made it farther this year than they did last year is credited to probably Tibbs. And they just made it to make change. I think there's a more underlying issue with the personnel that they have and how it gets run and how they run it, where Brunson tries to play hero ball all the time and Cat doesn't know how to play defense. And then Josh Hart doesn't like shooting the ball, and Bridges also just doesn't really shoot more than he should. I think it's just there's more underlying reasons than just the head coaching. And will this new head coach change it? For me, no. I feel like they're going to regress next year, no matter who the head coach is. I've heard Mike Malone. I think that'd be good. I heard Johnny Bryant would be sick. He was with the Knicks a couple years ago. All those two guys are probably my top two. If they poach Ime, I don't think they're going to poach Ime. I think Ime has a good thing going with the Rockets. I don't think any coach, unless they are on an organization that they know is not going to be solid in the next 5 years, will ever jump ship to the Knicks.
Yeah, Denny, you want to expand?
Yeah, I agree with Michael there. I think they're just looking for a change. I mean, you look at this roster and they're very top heavy. I mean, they're starting five. They should be doing a lot more probably than what they've been doing. Yes, they're still a little new. Cat's first year, Bridges' first year. I think this was OG's second year. But a lot of, like Michael said, a lot of underlying issues. And a big one is, their bench play. They're going to have to figure it out. We talked about Landry Shamet, DeLon Wright, their impact they had in the couple wins in that series, but that's not going to be the answer in this league. And I think that the Knicks realize that they could have an opportunity in the East next year. With everything going on with the Celtics, Tatum's going to be out. That might be a shit show. The Bucks, the downfall of Giannis. So, the East can be up for grabs, and I think they're just looking for an opportunity to make a change. I don't know who's going to go there with all this coach shit. After I see the Suns hired some guy named Jordan Ott, I don't know who's going anywhere anymore. I don't know who the fuck Jordan Ott is. Sorry, that was just a little quick thing, but yeah, I think they were just looking for some change.
Yeah, so via the score, here's some odds for Knicks next head coach of some names. Johnny Bryant, as you mentioned, Mike Malone, as you mentioned, Jason Kidd, which I don't think is going to happen because the Mavs kind of said they were going to keep on him. I got Jay Wright, Dan Hurley, which is an interesting one because people last year were talking about, possibly the Lakers getting him and stuff. So I don't know about that. Jeff Van Gundy, Steve Nash, Mike Brown as well, who was fired by the Sacramento Kings. Also a name to look at. And then Budenholzer, obviously fired by the Suns as well. Who it is, I don't know. It's kind of funny people talk about how Cat got Thibodeau fired twice now. The season after, the only season he's been in New York too, after Thibodeau's got there after being with Minnesota with Cat. So interesting. I don't know where it's going to happen. As you talk about, Denny, with the players, what's going to happen, Sham just released a list of the top destinations that the Phoenix is talking with as far as where KD is going to go or possible trade partners. The Knicks are on that list along with the Suns, the Spurs, not the Suns, excuse me, the Rockets, the Spurs, the T-Wolves, and the Heat. So kind of, one, do we think New York is in run for either Giannis or KD? As we talked about many times, we believe they need more depth and obviously adding star power to not get them further in the ECF. So do you think the Knicks have a chance? And if not, where do you see KD go? Danny, I'll start with you.
I don't think I would see KD going to the Knicks. I think a lot of it is going to be it's going to be on where he wants to go. And I don't think it'll be the Knicks just because he already chose Brooklyn over them when he was already over in that area. I really have no idea where KD's going to end up. I think in a previous episode I had mentioned maybe going to Miami. I just listened to Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe talk last night. Bill Simmons is convinced that he's going to go to the Spurs. Zach Lowe thinks that the Wolves could be thrown in there. So I don't know. I could see any of those potentials. I mean, and the Rockets were a really big one too. I mean, that's what everyone was talking about during the trade deadline. It was them and like the Heat. So a couple different options here. I mean, if he went to the Spurs, that would be absolutely insane. I mean, they'd probably have to give up their second pick and I don't even know what else, but that'd be crazy. Yeah, Vassell or Keldon Johnson or something. Yeah, Spurs, Wolves, Heat. That's what I've heard. Maybe one of those three, but yeah, I don't think he would go to the Knicks.
Yeah, Litza.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a couple of things: is who has the draft capital or youth to get KD, and then also I feel like with KD, it's been shown he is again a fantastic story. He cannot, but he himself cannot lead a team to the championship. He's tried that with Brooklyn. He's tried that with Phoenix as the main guy. He needs to have like a good second option, or he be the second option for him to have success in the league, as it was shown with the Warriors, as it was shown with the Thunder early in his career with Russ. If he's the main guy, Book wasn't that guy. When he was just by himself in Brooklyn, he tried, it didn't work. So I think that really cuts out the Rockets, because then he will be the main guy. And I don't think the Rockets have the pieces to get for him, but if he's the main guy, I don't think the Rockets will move the needle. I think something that'd be really interesting would be the Timberwolves with him and Ant, because Ant idolizes KD. We all know this. And Ant also, I feel like, is always just a little nonchalant for being a superstar and being like, yeah, we just lost in 5 in the Western Conference Finals, but I'm not mad about it. I think it's fine. I have more time left. It's like, he doesn't really have a sense of urgency, and I feel like if he gets KD on his team, KD will force him to have a sense of urgency. So I think Minnesota could be a cool destination, because then KD will have probably his best player next to him since Steph in Ant. But then if he goes to the Spurs, then he'll have Wemby. It'll be the same thing. And Wemby's now bald and becoming a monk, which is just scary, because that means he's just going to be so dangerous.
He's locked in. Yeah,
he's locked in. It's going to be dangerous to see. And now they have the second pick. So if they strip the second pick, and with like Vassell and Keldon and maybe a couple other picks that they got because of the DeJounte Murray trade or the DeMar or whatever, like, sky's the limit. But I think the Timberwolves would be a really fascinating destination for KD.
Yeah, I agree. Also, you talk about how Ant has said over and over again how KD has been his favorite player growing up. Mm-hmm. From a fit standpoint, I agree to the fact of the Timberwolves. I think that'd be perfect to get them right over the edge. What the T-Wolves have to give up, I don't know necessarily. Also, kind of sounds like the Suns are kind of selling them at a discount because they're kind of just sound desperate, and just it's happening. But also, yeah, talking about the Spurs, it would be very dangerous to see, and I don't want to see it from a basketball standpoint, just because they also have the second overall pick, and I think they could get KD without giving up the second overall pick right now. So that'd be very dangerous to see. As far as the Rockets go, we talked about the struggle of Jalen Green in the playoffs specifically, but just the inconsistency. And then, you have Steven Adams, who's a free agent now, and then you have Sengun. So I'm not sure how KD would fit in that with Ahmed Thompson and Sengun and Jalen Green. I think KD wants to go where he doesn't have to be necessarily just this old veteran leader, where he has to teach these young kids what to do. I think he wants to be next to somebody that kind of already has a little bit figured out. I feel like he would have to do quite a bit of just too much leading when it comes to the Rockets team. They're just young. You have a hothead like Dylan Brooks, which, never turns out great, especially KD's seen the past with his teams. But I like the T-Wolves for sure would be my favorite destination for KD. I feel like he would like there the best, but the Spurs are just dangerous if they get him. So, and then Giannis, we kind of talked about Giannis and KD before. Giannis is also apparently within the Knicks' reach, so people think. We also don't even know if Giannis is going to leave yet, but he has been talked about, and he's also been linked to all the same teams. So whoever KD goes to, Giannis will be a good fit on one of those other ones too. But we'll see if Giannis even wants to go to the West or stay in the East. It seems like everybody's been jumping ship and going to the West lately to try to compete, but we'll see what happens.
If you were a team, would you rather have KD? Would you rather trade for KD or Giannis? What would be your one that you would go for?
I guess it depends on how fast you want to win and how long you want to win for. Obviously, Giannis is younger, and he's still proven to be MVP caliber, as he was top 3 this year in voting. And I think depending on how young your team is currently, you could have Giannis for a while and still have a young core. KD, I feel like, could be just like a win now mode team, and I'm not exactly sure who that is either. So I feel like it really just depends on the team.
Mm-hmm. What about you, JD? What do you think?
I love Kevin Durant to death, but Giannis has averaged 30 in his past 4 seasons in a row.
2
He's been MVP contention, yes. And so I think building a team around someone or bringing in a guy like Giannis would just be a lot more beneficial than KD. And the past couple seasons, KD really has been struggling with injuries. His calves, Achilles, it's been ankles. He's been out extended time. So if he were to go down early in the season, midway through the season, it just really affects your ability to compete, fight for a playoff spot. If it's something in the West, the play-in is just so crazy these days. Honestly, can get crazy in the East now too. So I would probably lean towards Giannis there.
I agree.
I mean, you can't go wrong with either one, honestly.
You
No.
can't go wrong with either one. Yeah.
They'll both add to your team, no matter what. But they're very different players. They're both elite scorers. They have, like you said, Giannis has been more consistent over the last just recency. But yeah, I don't know. You'll win no matter what. It just really depends on what you give up. You're going to have to give up a lot more to get Giannis than you are going to have to give up to get KD. That's a huge price. What ownerships want to pay for that? What teams? Without, ruining the core they have right now. I don't know. That's it's very up in the air.
Yeah, damn. The offseason is going to be fun.
It's good. Yeah.
Offseason going to be great. We will continue through the offseason this year, unlike last year. So we will be updating on that along with draft results and everything like that. But before that, we have the NBA Finals. We just had Game 3 last night. Game 1 was insane. Game 2 was not nearly as fun to watch. Game 3 was back and forth. Amazing. First off, we talk about, how many people have just been hating on the fact of the small market teams in the finals, which has kind of been irritating, but there's been so many memes. It's like the true basketball player loves to see these two teams because they're two great teams in the sense of they play well. They play really good basketball. They're fun to watch, both of them. And then, the average NBA fan just hates it because they're not LA or New York or just these other big market teams. We're going to start with Game 1. I'll start with you. I called it the Halaban game because it makes zero sense how any player could ever fucking do this and have 4 game-winning shots in the freaking playoffs. It's insane. Go ahead, Litzo.
It's crazy. The fact that he is the most clutch player in current recent memory for a playoff run that I could ever think of. Like even with Dirk's playoff run and Kawhi's playoff run, they didn't have. I know Kawhi had the balance, and I can't think of anything else that Dirk did like game winner wise. But Hallie's been one of the most clutch players I have ever seen when it comes to last second shots to win a game. The fact that it's happened in every single series is absolutely absurd, especially when he didn't do much game 1 this finals, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, we're down 1, give me the ball. I don't care what's going to happen. I'm going to have the ball. I'm going to shoot the shot. It's statistically a terrible shot that he did, a pull-up long 2 jump shot. And if you just knew when that was in the air, it's like, it's going in. Playoffs has any indication of what this is going to happen, and that's going in. No matter what. And it was weird with game 1. God, because that game was so sloppy. The Pacers looked flustered. They're turning the ball over at a terrible rate. They were playing out of pace. Everything. OKC looks like they were handling it the whole time. Yet they only were down like 11 the whole entire game. They kept it close, and it was always weird just watching the game. If you just watch the game without seeing the score underneath for the first 3 quarters, you'd be like, oh, OKC's up by like 25 probably. And it was always 11 and 13. And as we've seen again in this playoffs, if the Pacers are hanging around and the fourth quarter happens and they're still hanging around, they will have a great opportunity to win that game. And they did. And it was crazy. That shot was crazy. One of my roommates, Ian Mesner, shout out Ian Mesner, was literally jumping up and down, running around our house when that shot went in. It was one of the most absurd shots in a finals, like in recent memory.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Danny, what are your thoughts on Game 1?
I had texted Ian Mesner before the game that I thought the Thunder were going to take it because they are at this time, they were plus 231 9 home games in the playoffs. And then Ian said he agreed, but if he were to see another Hallie game winner, his soul would leave his body. And I think how Michael described it, it did. Goddamn, man. Halliburton, he said it after game 1. He's pissed. He's been pissed. He's on a generational run. 4 game winners in this playoff. He's tied for second already in NBA playoff history for game winners or tying shots with 5 seconds or less. And he's been in the playoffs 2 years and only 2 years.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, and Michael mentioned the turnovers. 19 turnovers for the Pacers at half, 24 total, and the Thunder only got 11 points off of those turnovers, which is really the bread and butter for the Thunder. They're really able to force turnovers and they capitalize on them and get points in transition. Both these teams are really good at getting points in transition. In all series, they've both been really well at limiting the transition points, even off of steals, being able to just force them to run in the half court. And game one was crazy. Yeah, like Michael said, the Pacers can stay in it. We've talked about it before. They are the most efficient field goal shooting and three-point shooting team in the playoffs. And so they hit a couple threes. Next thing you know, it's a 6-point game, and that was a crazy game. They also got destroyed on the rebounds that game too, 56-39. They were able to figure it out a little bit. Now the numbers are better. But that's just with the Case and Wallace switch to starting over iHeart, which I want to hear both of your guys' thoughts about that after 3 games.
Yeah. You talk about the percentage-wise, first off. Tyrese Halliburton shot 28% from 3 that game 1, and only 46% from the field, only 14 points and 10 rebounds. It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense whatsoever. I'm just pissing me off, and then Shea had a 38-point game. That just means nothing because of one shot. And before game 3, game 1 and 2, the Pacers only led the series a total of 2 minutes in 2 games. And it's just like, which has been the case with the Thunder almost all season long. Any game they've lost, it's been down to the wire, and they lead most of the time. But it doesn't matter if you can't close out. So the game 1 was just kind of annoying as I was, watching on my phone in a 2-hour delay, trying to get to Denver, just pacing back and forth. I was never satisfied. And Denny, you asked me before you asked me every game so far if I liked the Case and Wallace start. In the first 2 games, I was pretty confident. I'm like, yep, I like it. I like the small ball. This isn't a very big team outside of Miles Turner. Pascal Siakam's lengthy, but yeah, I like Kaysen. Kaysen's a good 3-and-D guy. It's perfect. Worked out the first 2 games, I believe. As you said, they got out-rebounded in game 1. I don't think Cason Wallace was necessarily a problem, but he did have kind of I think he had a negative plus-minus. Yeah, he had negative 13, the worst on the team. I think game 1 was just, not used to being a starter, and it's also a very different opponent than he's ever been used to. So, but the game 2, he did a lot better. But then you go back to game 3, and it just, you asked me again. You said, you want Cason Wallace over iHeart. iHeart did not have a good game 3 at all. And I was like, yeah, no, fuck this. Just go back to what's worked for the entire season, what's worked in the entire playoffs. Go back to the 2 big man, especially when the Pacers are a smaller team. Then they kept on talking about, Doris Burke and Mike Breen kept on talking about the switch up. They'd be like, it shows confidence in the Pacers if you keep on seeing somebody trying to switch up their lineup for you. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But I think Cason Wallace needs to go back to the bench to start. And also starting Cason Wallace over Alex Caruso in the first place is also kind of a head scratcher, and Alex Caruso has literally been one of the best players this entire playoffs. So it was definitely a head scratcher, but I don't know. I like Cason Wallace. I just don't think putting him as a starter for the first time in the finals is not the way to go. You can't just put pressure on a second-year guy like that. What do you think, Litzo?
I just think they're playing into the Pacers' strengths too much, Pacers are good with small ball. Siakam could be a good 5. Obi comes in as a great 4. And then Nesmith can be that 4 too. It's like when you play 2 bigs with Chet and Hartenstein, you're going to have to put Miles Turner and Pascal in. And then Miles Turner can't play 48 minutes. So if you have another big in, who are you going to put in? Thomas Bryant? Thomas Bryant is a serviceable backup, but shouldn't be playing more than 7-10 minutes in the finals. So when you start doing a small ball lineup, granted, I do think the defense of their guards is the reason why OKC's defense is so great. I think it truly is just because of their guard play. They're suffocating. But, the Pacers are a better small ball team when they can put Siakam at the 5 and then put Obi at the 4 and then have 3 of their 6 good guys with Mathurin, all those guys in and play well. I think you're playing to the Pacers' strength if you keep going small ball. And if they're going to keep doing it, I think the 2-man could really work out for OKC, but if it's going to be small ball for the rest of the time, I think the Pacers have the advantage.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
and I think the Thunder just need a little bit more ball movement, and I think iHeart coming in would really help with that. He's just such a great facilitator. Gets the ball to the guys in their spots, knows what to do, and just I feel like every time I'm watching Siakam back someone down, hit that little fadeaway, it's just absolute money every time.
So clean.
Every single time. Yeah. I mean, I love Casey Wallace too. I mean, he's a great defender. I think he's growing a lot in this series and in the playoffs in general. But, ever since iHeart and Chet have both been healthy, this is the lineup you've been running with. And I feel like you should just keep it going for now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we talked about how just different this Pacers team is. We talked about it the entire time, and Mark Dagnall watched the tape, and he said, I don't know, putting two big guys down there is going to slow down this very fast-paced, very small ball Pacers team. And I just think that's the reason why he made the Casey Wallace decision in the first place, because he didn't think he'd have, have enough speed out there between Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet to, defend everybody on that team. Because Miles Turner and Chet are going to be the main matchup for the big guys. Is Isaiah Hartenstein enough to guard, Nemhart and Pascal and just Tyrese Halliburton himself and Neesmith even. So I think that's why Mark Dagnall made the decision. And it's after a 3-game sample. I think you go back to, what I completely agree. Game 2, it's starting to feel eerily close to the Nuggets series quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quite a bit, and that scares me for multiple reasons. As we've gone through the ups and downs on this podcast, recording for that whole series.
Mm-hmm.
But I said it so many times of the Thunder having 8 days off in between a series, and that game 1, the momentum's good for them, and they were dominating the whole game, just like the Nuggets series, and then they dropped it in the final seconds. Aaron Gordon, Tyrese Halliburton, what's the difference? And you go down to game 2 and just calm and composed, and they drop it. And they never, like you said, they have not lost back-to-back at home since 2023 November. And that continues to be the answer. So now they go into Indiana and, they drop the first game there. And Indiana's another crowd that's just like the Thunder, but, obviously when it's against you, it's a different story. And they've been talking about how electric the stadium is, and they had Caitlin Clark there in full force with our girl Lexi Hull from Central Valley. She was on the sideline. It was interesting to see. But game 2 felt a lot better. They had it down. Durant has been amazing. He's been shooting the lights out from 3 this series, which he struggled in the Denver series, and he also struggled in the T-Wolves series a little bit too. But he's finding his stride again. He looks like regular season Dort. Just little guys here and there. Aaron Wiggins. Everybody talks about the running joke with Thunder fans is Aaron Wiggins say basketball. And in game 2, he came off, had 18 points off the bench. He's just so smooth and composed. He's always a great guy to come out the bench. That was a big difference maker in game 2. Then come game 3, you talk about the bench, and it was the exact opposite. The Pacers bench pretty much won them game 3. They had, I believe, 26 points in the first half. They had more points from the bench than they did the starters in the first half of game 3. And it was neck and neck the entire time. The largest lead for the Thunder was 9, so nobody had a double-digit lead the entire time until the fourth quarter with the Pacers. So it was just back and forth. We've talked about so many times on this podcast how much we love the Pacers and how total depth of a team they are. And we talked about the same exact reasons why I like this Thunder team quite a bit. It's just there's so many guys that come off the bench. And I guess we kind of skipped over game 2 just because I feel like there wasn't as much to talk about. Is there anything in game 2 you guys want to talk about besides just, Shea being Shea, doing his thing, and it was just a composed win for the Thunder, in my opinion?
I would have been shocked if the Thunder dropped game 2 as well. I was going into game 2 fully expecting OKC to just kind of run away with it. They were a 68 win team in the regular season for a reason. They're a phenomenal team. There was no chance they would go down 0-2, lose both games at home, go down 0-2 in the finals. So I knew they were going to have a bounce back game. That's really all I had to need to say about that, because they played to who they were.
Yeah, Lou, what about you?
20-2 run in 5 minutes in the second quarter, and that was really all I needed to see. I think just like the entire world, we all knew what the Thunder were going to do and respond with in game 2. And after I saw that second quarter, I was like, yep, that'll do it. So on the game 3.
Yeah. I don't even know if I want to talk about game 3 that much because I know we're going to obviously talk about it, but it's just pissing me off. A lot of things. I'm not even going to, I'm going to leave what I believe was very annoying to the end. I'll just talk about the Pacers' strength. As we talked about, their bench was amazing. Talk about Benedict Mathurin, who has been a starter in the past for this team, who rolled down to a bench player, and he's still showing why he could be a starter in this team. 27 points for this team himself. That's more than any of the starters. He was the number one scorer for the team yesterday. Absolutely amazing. Obi Toppin, I made fun of him the first game. He was looking like he was getting bullied a little bit in the first half a couple times. And now game 3, he was all over the place. He was getting blocks. He was really good defensively. That's just amazing. TJ McConnell, absolute beast, running over the floor. He doesn't even have that many points. He had 10 points, but he was just, controlling the pace, forcing turnovers. It was amazing. The biggest thing about this game 3 for me when it comes to Pacers is they took the Thunder's identity, turned it over, and used it against them. They were fast. They just didn't slow down at all. They forced turnovers and made the Thunder, who had one of the best turnovers to steals ratios in NBA history this year in the regular season. That was the exact opposite of what they did all year yesterday when Shea himself allowed 6 turnovers, which is the most he's ever had all year. And the Pacers beat them at their own game, and it was kind of annoying to see. Now, the annoying part that I was really pissed off about is just the reffing in this game was absolutely atrocious, in my opinion. They set the bar early. The immediate foul on the tip-off said against Shea is like, we're not going to make this. Pretty much what it sounded like is like, we're not going to have this physical game. We're not going to let you get away with anything. I was like, okay, fine. But as it continued to go on, it was nonstop calls against the Thunder only. And it just kind of pissed me off because for the fact of we had so many replays, whereas Pascal Siakam got a foul, even though he hooked Casey Wallace's leg as he was falling down, but it was called a foul against Casey Wallace. You had the obvious missed call out of bounds when it should have been off the Pacers, but they called it against Chet, even though that Aaron Nesmith was literally holding Chet down and it was off his arm. And it comes down to the Alex Caruso foul that Obi Toppin had. It should have been a flagrant foul, in my opinion. He literally pulled him down. It could have been a clear path at the same time because he was going to the rim. Completely grabbed him, pulled him down. Don't think it was right. As you said, it was a close game the entire time, which was amazing to see. But obviously, I cannot blame everything on the refs. But it really pissed me off to see that. So there's my rant on game 3. I'm done talking. Denny, go ahead.
Man, I have so much I want to talk about this game. You first mentioned Obi Toppin. We talked about game 1, or I guess we're talking about game 1 now. He was huge there with his 5 threes. He's just so active on both sides of the floor. I think it was 105 to 100. He gets that pretty tough rebound over Caruso and then gets that putback dunk on a Hallie missed layup where just no one on the Thunder – I think everyone on the Thunder assumed Hallie was going to make that layup because no one even looked in the vicinity of Obi Toppin for that putback dunk. He's been awesome. We talked about Benedict Mathurin. I mentioned it a couple episodes ago. Game 4 of the conference finals, he had 20 points. Plus minus was -2 after a plus minus of -31 the first 3 games, or I think the entire playoffs. So he's really just become more and more confident. He's a bucket. I mean, he's been like this for him. You kind of mentioned it too, Matt. And I think some people forget that he did miss the playoffs last year for the Pacers with that torn labrum that he had in March and missed the rest of the season. And so this is kind of his first stint in the playoffs with them, and I think he's getting more and more comfortable.
Let's not forget that he was drafted and dropped by the New York Knicks, who were their opponent in these conference finals.
Yep. And we talk about TJ McConnell. God damn, dude. How many steals did this guy get off of an inbounds pass?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, dude. He's making right reads. He's being a great assist man. He's also he's so quick. It's insane. And talk about the pace of this Pacers team. After a made bucket, they're sprinting down the floor, looking to push the pace already. It's insane. One thing that I did notice from game 2 to game 3 was the Thunder did really well guarding the pick and roll in game 2, being able to hedge and recover and just take away any options. Halliburton was having his way in the pick and roll last night. Drop coverage, he hits a floater. You pressure him, he's going to find the roller. You give him a gap, he's going to pull up 3. It was insane. But with all that, it was still a really, really close game. And so it's going to set up for a really good game 4. Both these coaches are going to continue making adjustments. It really, like Matt said, it comes down to bench play. And these benches are battling it out, and we're going to have to see who's going to be able to step up and help out more for their teams.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on game 3?
I loved it. You see in that Obi Toppin putback, you see in the replay, Caruso was just looking up, trying to get the rebound, and then Chet right behind him trying to get the rebound, and then Obi slams it, and they both at the same time turn their head and kind of like, damn it, that both of them didn't box out. It was beautiful to see. And then TJ McConnell has that like Steph-like just mobility where he's just running around the court and just moving. He is never stopped in place, constantly moving. He's not like Steph where he's moving to get a shot and put up a wild 3, but he's just constantly getting his guy tired. It looked towards the end of the game like OKC was gassed. Being the youngest team in the league with one of the biggest depths, it looked like they were gassed towards the end. They just, I don't know. They can't win. They're so not used to close games that they kind of start to panic. I personally believe Chet Holmgren is one of the worst people in the clutch ever. He sucks. You're 7 feet and you get blocked on a jump shot. And then you see it time and time again throughout the playoffs when it's a close game. Chet Holmgren has not come up clutch in it. He missed those two free throws against Denver. That game 1, he always misses his layups. When it's like clutch time, I think I'm happy that my narrative of Chet Holmgren is overrated is finally coming to fruition to the to the world to see. Because yesterday, Twitter was going off on Chet, and it put a smile on my face. I was like, if Evan Mobley, my Evan Mobley Chet comparisons that happened, if Evan Mobley was on this OKC team, OKC would be up 3-0. That's where I'm going with that. Evan Mobley, Chet. Chet is just Chet. Chet had 20 points on 15 shots and 0 for 6 from 3. I can go off about Chet and how just overrated he is as a player. And the fact that he was 7 foot and got blocked on a 3-point shot was just, I had a field day with that. I'm like, how does that even happen? I don't care that Miles Turner is also like 6'10". How does that happen? You're 7 feet and you're shooting a jumper? Come on. Oh, it was beautiful to watch. But yeah, no, I think the Pacers just started running OKC out of the court towards late. Shea was trying to do the most that he could to keep them afloat. J-Dub was hitting his shots, which is, I feel like J-Dub has been pretty inconsistent in these playoffs. But when J-Dub is on, dude, he is like so scary. He can just hit anything. But I don't know. OKC looked gassed at the end, and Pacers kept the pedal on the metal. Mathurin dropping 25 was incredible. That was so fun to watch. He had some tough buckets last night. It's going to be a good series. OKC's not going to go lightly, which I think is great. I think this series is going to just be a super entertaining one for the next few games. But, I mean, I said this. I've been on the Pacers bandwagon since I said it on the pod, I think, like a month ago after they went up 2-0 against Cleveland. I'm like, I like this Pacers team. I'm fully jumping on the bandwagon. And just to seeing them actually do well in this finals that no one thought it was, it's great.
Yeah. I'm going to defend my boy Chet real quick because he had 11 points in the first quarter and was leading the entire team. And you can't just put the disrespect on him like that and talk about one block from Miles Turner on the 3.
Yeah,
when
it was
Chet
2 blocks that same possession.
3 blocks on Miles Turner from the 3 this entire series so far. Just because it's not in the clutch does not mean shit. Okay.
He had 11 points in the first quarter, then 9 the rest of the game. He shot 15 shots, 0 from 6 from 3. Chet is not clutch.
The
Chet
whole
is
entire
not
team
clutch.
was struggling from the rest of the game. So I'm not just putting that on Chet. Not at all. Chet is still a great fucking player. Talk about, okay, there's that. That's amazing. Chet's still better than Evan Mobley, in my opinion. I will continue to die by that. He's my guy. He's my guy.
Not at all.
He's my fucking guy.
Not at all.
Two guys I want to shout out for the Pacers, which I think is one of the biggest reasons that does not show on the stat sheet of how this game was turned around in game 3 was Andrew Nemhard, another Zag, and Ben Shepherd, who played amazing defense against Shea. Probably the best defense that Shea has seen all year, even though Shea dropped 22 still, which is low for him, or 24, excuse me. But yeah, those guys were just glued to him. They were, the They're making smart contact. They weren't really fouling him, and the rest did not, call, which everybody's been complaining about the entire playoffs. The rest did not give him any like big calls or flopping or anything like that. So shout out to Ben Shepherd, who wasn't really a huge factor in the Pacers play. Like did not got much minutes the rest of the entire playoffs, but he's been huge on bringing him out. Mr. Carlton has been Rick Carlisle has been putting him in to be the primary defender for Shea only, and it's worked really well. He only got 4 points, but he was defending him amazing. Also had 3 fouls early in the first half against him, but just stats that don't show up on the stat sheet because those guys were glue. So that was another thing that really turned game 3 around.
I love the Nembhard SGA matchup right now. I think it's so fun to watch. It feels like, which they probably are because they are on Team Canada together. It feels like they're just childhood friends that are now on the biggest stage and are just trying to one up each other on defense and just play even more physical than they would if it wasn't one of your boys. And so I just think it's just an incredible matchup just to be watching because now Nembhard is going in his bag and then like going in his bag, trying to make the most things. That jab step he had that made Caruso go flying on the elbow. That was so clean. I remember being like, god damn, dirty. But then even SGA is now trying to get into his bag because they're just like getting so physical with each other, and it's like two childhood buddies just like going to the league, and now they got to go against each other on the biggest stage, and we got to just make sure that their boy doesn't get theirs. I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Also worth mentioning, Chet and Andrew did actually play together in college. I know we're making that comparison, but I'm happy as Zach wasn't champion.
I think Andrew Nembhard is better than Chet Holmgren.
Okay, now that's a statement. I will make sure to clip this specific one and put it on social media because that is a take.
That is a lukewarm take.
That is
not even hot. Chet Holmgren is overrated. I will die on that hill.
I completely disagree. I love Andrew Nembhard. I'm a huge Nembhard fan, and his brother that's coming into the league couldn't even possibly be better than him, in my opinion. Andrew's amazing.
So both Nembhards are better than Chet Holmgren. I like that take too. That's a great take.
No, Michael's just trying to get payback for him shitting the bed in fantasy this year because he got injured, and you're the one that drafted him.
Yeah, I will never do it again. I will never do it again.
You're just trying to get revenge.
Never do it again.
That's all it is.
It's on my blacklist.
Really shout out to Andrew Nembhard though, he was the 31st overall pick in his draft, and a lot of people are giving speculation that when the Pacers re-signed him to $19 million, are saying that's way too much, and going to luxury tax and everything like that. And he has proven a key player in almost every single game for them this playoffs. So, Denny, any other thoughts?
That was kind of one of the things I wrote down before game 1 was this SGA Nembhard matchup. Like Michael said, they've been probably playing against each other since they were like 10. So they know each other's tendencies. Nembhard doesn't really jump or fall for any of the stuff SGA does. It's a great matchup. It really is. And also Nembhard's guarding him like 94 feet. Doesn't even let him get the ball. Or if he does inbound the ball, he is right on his hip the whole time. I think the only other thing I have to add is just watching the game last night in the fourth quarter, it looked like the Thunder weren't necessarily rattled, but it seemed like they were just going away from what they do best, which is their ball movement and being able to kick out to the three-point shooters and all that. Even on that Chet blocked 3, he then proceeded to try to drive on Miles Turner, where I feel like you should have just tried to pass it out at least and try to get some ball movement going, because when these guys are moving the ball well, they're damn near impossible. Lou Dort is hitting threes like crazy right now. Every time he shoots one, I feel like it's going to go in. I'm just like, that's a bucket. So I think they just really need to stick with what got him here. Their ball movement, pushing the pace. They just got to match the pace and energy that the Pacers are coming with right now. But great battle between SJ and Nembhard. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see. With that, final thoughts on anything, and then make your predictions for the rest of the series. Pacers are up 2-1. Game 4 is on Friday. We'll be watching it. All 3 of us will be together watching it, so that'll be fun to see as well. Litzo, final thoughts / prediction for the rest of the series.
SGA, after the Game 3 loss to Denver, he was smiling walking back to the locker room. He wasn't smiling last night. He was not smiling last night. You could see he's a little more scared than he was against Denver. That's just the Taliban coming after him, you know? I think Friday, Pacers are going to get it done up 3-1. Next game, Thunder win it, make it 3-2. And then, you know what? I'm going to go Thunder win it again. Game 6, go 3-3. Game 7, because I want to see a Game 7. This has probably been one of the most, at least for the first 3 games, have been probably the most entertaining finals. I'm a Nuggets fan too, but most entertaining finals since probably the Suns Bucks one. So if we can get this finals to Game 7, it will probably be the most entertaining finals since the 2016 Cavs Warriors one. So I'm just hoping that it gets to Game 7 and Pacers win it Game 7. It'd be sick. In OKC, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, Denny, final thoughts / predictions.
Michael mentioned the emotions that SGA had leaving the floor after last night. You can even tell he was getting frustrated by Nembhard. I think he's pissed. I feel like a lot of the talk is just about what the Pacers have been doing right, but I think the Thunder have just been doing some things that they, not necessarily wrong, but they just are not doing what they have been doing. And still, I don't even think that they've lost 2 games in a row. Have they lost 2 games in a row in this playoffs? It's hard. I think the Thunder are going to take this game Friday. I picked the Thunder in 5 initially. That's not going to happen now. I don't know. I love this Pacers team. We've been talking about them all season, but I just have this feeling still that the Thunder are going to figure it out and win this series. I'll say Thunder in 7, but I have this feeling that they're going to figure it out. Like what Michael said, when J-Dubs is on, he is an absolute bucket. It is insane. They just need I don't think they've been playing their best basketball, the Thunder. And I feel like if they are playing their best basketball, they're going to win this series. So I'm going to say Thunder in 7.
Yeah. I like to mention on the last podcast, I was the only one that said Thunder in 7. I believe one of you said 5, one of you said 6.
I said 5.
Remember. Yeah. And
I said 5.
I said 6, but I did say Thunder. I was not confident in the Pacers.
As a Thunder fan, I don't want to be too high on this team because I'd rather be surprised than be disappointed. And that's just, you can thank the Seattle Mariners for giving me that thought process because they've disappointed me every fucking year. But besides the baseball, I texted Denny this earlier today I'm not worried because I genuinely believe there's not a moment in this series where I thought the Pacers were the better team on the court. And even though they're up 2-1, I just think it's the Thunder been making their own mistakes almost every single time that they've shown weakness. And like I said before Game 3, the Pacers are only leading for 2 minutes of the entire first 2 games. I just don't think, I said it during the Denver series, I said it during the Minnesota series, I've said it so many different times. Playing from down can only be efficient for so long, and I think this Pacers team is the exact same way. They've been really lucky in the Eastern Conference of being down a lot of games and coming back and winning them, and I don't think that's an efficient way to win a championship. And I think the Thunder have been so dominant over time that they've had their mistakes. They've learned it in the Denver Nuggets series. They came out firing against the T-Wolves as well, and I don't think they're going to make those mistakes again. Like you said, they did look tired. I'm going to continue to say Thunder in 7. I think they also take Game 2 or in Game 4 technically in Indiana. And then I think they come home and get another win. And from there, 6 and 7, we'll see what happens. But I do think the Thunder win in 7. They're a really good team. They're the best team in the NBA this year, and I think they should win the playoffs. So we hardly get a championship where the best team loses. It happens. Obviously, I'm not saying it's impossible. And this is a really good Pacers team, but the Thunder are a better team overall. Thunder in 7. Then you said Thunder in 7, I believe, too, right? And then what'd you say again, Lito? You say Pacers
I want Pacers in 6, but I think it's going to be Pacers in 7.
7. Okay. I like it. Yes,
sirs.
Yes, sirs. It's tough because I really like this Pacers team. They're fun to watch. They really are. I just obviously am not going to root for them whatsoever. All right, so Game 5, Friday. We'll probably... Well, I mean, we're going to have to go to 6 no matter what. So we'll talk about we'll get back on around Game 6, Game 7, depending what the vibes are. And anything else to add, boys?
I just want to give a quick shout out because I feel like we didn't talk about him enough. Pascal Siakam. He's been an absolute dog all playoffs. He had 21 again last night. I think he was the only, like, besides Hallie and Mathurin, one of the only double-digit scorers or 20-point scorers. He's just so consistent for this team. Great veteran presence. He's been here before. I love Siakam, man. He's such a dog.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pascal Siakam is very overlooked because of what Tyrese Halliburton has done with his clutch shots. And people forget that Pascal Siakam has been leading the entire Pacers team in scoring the entire playoffs, like almost every single time. Tyrese is a great player, but his impact is very different from that of Siakam. Siakam runs the floor, and if they're struggling, they give the ball to Pascal Siakam. They don't give it to Tyrese Halliburton usually early in games. Obviously, down fourth quarter, Tyrese takes the ball into his own hands and does what he does. But most of the game is Pascal Siakam just completely trying to break down the defense, no matter what part it is.
Yeah, I love Spicy P. He's so good. He's just consistent, and he's
Very.
I feel like he's also just kind of a mismatch. Like,
Yep.
if you put a tall guy on him, he's quick enough to get by him, and if you put a small guy on him, he's big enough to just bully him down to the post. It's like, what are you going to do if Siakam is doing his thing? He's going to always consistently get like 17 and 7, but if he's hot, he can get 35 and 12 easily. So I hope for one of those games to happen that Spicy P drops 40. That'd be dope.
I don't know. Like, so far this playoffs, like, Pascal Siakam is the highest. Well, Bennedict Mathurin, no one scored over 30 for this team. Bennedict Mathurin, I think, has the highest point total at 27. I think Pascal might have scored 28 in the first game, but that's just the way this team operates. I'm not sure if any one player is going to have over 30.
Siakam did have 31 in Game 6 of that Knicks series.
Yes, you did
I
that.
think that was the only time, though.
Yeah, it can happen, but especially against the Thunder specifically, I don't think it's going to happen.
No, they rely on their assists and ball movement.
Yeah, and it's working.
Spreading the wealth. Yeah, it is working.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it from us. As always, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Been stupid busy, so going to get back onto the social media grind, get some more stuff going. Put your predictions down. Who you think? Who do you like from the Pacers? Do you like Pascal or Tyrese to be the hero here and play hero ball? Are the Thunder going to break it out? Shea going to go back to his MVP form? Give your predictions. Tell us up. Let us know. And with that, till next episode, boys, peace.
Peace.